Welcome to another wonderful Friday of the Upstream Marketing Crew. Um, we are happy to have you here. It looks like our usual squad, so we'll skip the formalities and roll right into it. So we've got some cool things going on. I'd say before we jump to the really exciting thing from Rajula, not to say the other isn't, but I'd say the launch of the dev community site or the contributor site launch is huge. So congratulations, Bob, and many other people that are supported that process, but you were on point for a lot. And yeah, congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you.
Hope we can get into a little bit of strategy there. I want to see what we can do going forward. But I think what definitely deserves a focus to start, because it's been such a Herculean effort by Rajula, is getting the Slack announcement bot live. It is officially merged in, leaves us with, we're almost building the Voltron or the pieces of the puzzle together to be able to communicate in like one fell swoop. So huge congrats, Rajula. That was awesome. Dope. And yeah, we can, anything else exciting that we should celebrate, talk about, make sure people know about? All good. Okay, cool. So since we try to be editorially focused, we'll just kick it off with the editorial calendar. And by calendar, I mean loose Kanban of things we hope to maybe write about is more realistic and be supportive of in the process. To the best of my knowledge, I haven't talked to Lubaina. I'm blanking on how to say her name exactly right. But there's an article on usability and progress, but I haven't connected back with the author. But can work on that. I think Caslin, did you bring her in to marketing, or did she come in through Paris? I know she had like a handshake in.
I don't know, but I know that after she was here, she asked me for some help getting started writing that. So.
Okay, yeah, I'll just send her a little ping. See if there's anything we can do to be helpful. Yeah, Divya got very busy, so that's probably on hold. And I don't think there's anything else that is sticking out. Anyone writing anything or need any sort of editorial help on copy for whatever they're working on? Cool, let's cruise forward. The big one, just gonna pass the microphone to Rajula on this. The announcement bot is out. Like, what should we know about it, and how can we help make that useful? And you don't have to have all the answers, of course, but we're here to help and support. But yeah, just take it away.
Yeah, so finally we got it deployed. So I think the next steps are we need to first decide on the name of the display name and the display picture. So that is the first thing. And then I actually put down all the instructions in the meeting document. I'm not sure where else to put it. So I got this should be a first place to reference.
Can you run us where's the home? Where does it live in GitHub?
Oh yeah, I can link that as well. So for now, like all of you, if you're part of the user group, you should be able to see that in the shortcuts button on the left, on the bottom.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I put up the instructions how to post. I'm still not sure if we can post in the announcements channel because it's only for admins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can give it a try.
Yeah, I think to do that, we'd have to promote it to admin. I can also individually add it to be able to do so.
Oh, wow, post announcements.
I think testing is a little hard. Unless we have some announcements, we can test it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, we don't exactly want to explode into announcements with some tests. So yeah, having a little bit of a game plan will be quite helpful.
So
What were you gonna say
probably
about that?
the next thing would be usually the announcements are strictly for releases or when there's a security vulnerability. So we can actually, I don't think there hasn't been a announcement yet for 119 in there yet. So it might be, well, it's a little late. You might be able to test it with a release post for 119 or release, message for 119.
Mm.
Or I guess the 120 release shadow applications are closing today, right?
Yeah. So that one also might not be the best timing to get in there.
Sure. So I guess maybe we take a step back from the specific test for announcements and talk about like what have been the colloquial like rules of who has access to announcements and who's kind of accountable for making sure announcements get out.
So it's only the Slack admins, and then when someone has something that they want to post, usually it's a vulnerability. We promote them, like we can explicitly add permissions for them to be able to, talk in that channel for a brief period, post in that channel for a brief period of time. It's usually been Joel Smith that we've poked to from like the PSC regarding security announcements.
Okay. Is it PNC?
PSC, Product Security Committee. So like anytime there's a CVE, it gets announced in there. It's also posted, discuss, sent to like KDev. It's probably our largest announcement channel, like avenue for, not avenue, item that gets like broadcast everywhere is security
Yeah.
announcements.
Well, I mean, and that's perfect. We can kind of reverse engineer how are these channels used so that if we create tooling around it, it is in support of that usage, not in contrast of it. Or we can clearly differentiate like why somebody would want to announce something. Like I've seen, Chris Ants, he posts in there, but he's
that was just for KubeCon.
okay.
So that's
yeah.
the other thing that gets posted is like, KubeCon is the dates posted, but if you scroll back through, like it is fairly limited in what we post.
Yeah. Generally very limited. And that's probably a feature of it, right? Like we don't want to be spamming people
Yeah.
with lots of info.
It's usually messages targeted towards end users, not contributors. Most contributors just mute the channel.
Cool.
Is it possible to have a dummy Slack channel for testing?
Yeah, we should be able to create one. I would just open a PR and create the channel and
other Slack bots are tested? Sorry, how are the other Slack bots tested?
separate Slack.
Okay.
Catherine actually did most of that herself. She spun up her own Slack to test everything with.
Okay, so there is one thing with our Slack bot. So we are using a paid API. So the user groups is not in the free version. Yeah, but I did do most of the testing. So we can just do a little bit. I don't think it's necessary. If needed, I'll do a PR.
If we can create a channel specifically for testing it and then like archive it and then unarchive it when needed or something like that. Whatever you think is best, honestly.
Yeah, I think let's do a local testing. If needed, we'll just do this.
So I'm having as we talked about the announcement channel, kind of getting to a question of what is the right usage of this bot, and based on what we've said so far and our understanding the announcement channel, ironically, I don't know if announcement bot would make sense to be used with the announcement channel, maybe at all, right? Like so it's kind of a question of when do we use this and why? like the multi-channel communication is a nice feature of it. But like, is there a channel just for contributors that we want to regularly announce to? I don't know. I think
That would
that's
probably be KDev.
yeah, totally. That makes sense.
I
And
think, I think it,
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I think it comes back to what do we name the bot, because it's a little misleading if you name it announcement bot.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think we have to get to that answer by understanding what's the point of the bot. Like it won't be to announce to announcements. So yeah, there will be a bit of a conflict of term there. And our intention is like, when are we going to use this and why? If we can answer those, we can figure out the name and quite a bit.
The places where I think most of the communication would be targeted would be KDev, other things like the Contributor Summit channel. We will sometimes blast messages to all the individual SIG channels. This was like, I think it was the survey, or there was something like Christoph went back. I forget what it was for, but he literally went into every channel and sent a message, and then like every mailing list and sent a message.
That's a problem. I mean, that's a terrible user experience that we could use a bot to help with. Cool. Okay.
One other thing I could potentially see is, with all the SIG channels, would be, hey, code freeze is coming up, where you want to blast literally every single SIG channel and be like, code freeze is, less than a week away.
Excuse me.
Or enhancements freeze is less than a week away. Because we right now do most of that communication on issues and to KDev. But even with that, it still misses people.
Yeah, code freeze coming up. So survey requests. So this is not shockingly aligned to our overall comm strategy of like, when is action required? So like, if we use our own, that thing that Jonas and I worked on with Paris, like, what are like the 4 types of messages that we send out, and when, or when and where do we send them out? So like, I'm loving this, but yeah. I need to.
What might be worthwhile would be bringing it up on the release team. Like, Taylor's on the well, no longer on the release team, but Jeremy is, or specifically the comms team. Although comms does tend to be later, but change the role books that they have to file an issue for announcement regarding like enhancement freeze or anything like that for messages to be blasted out to Slack. They will handle the KDev email.
You're saying release team handles KDev email?
Yep, they tend to handle the KDev email and like sometimes posting to the leads list, but they are not saying anything in Slack outside of a couple channels that have the SIG release people in them and be like, hey, freeze is coming. So that might be.
This is so cool. Yeah, I'm starting to realize like the user of this tool is probably not us. Like we may very rarely need to use it, but like if we can offer it as a service to the right people, like we kind of need to socialize it. I'm hearing we need to socialize it with a few different groups: release, security, steering, especially. See if it resonates for any of them, and that they'd be willing to have like their permission set aligned to this bot, and then basically say, use it with these kind of guidelines. Like we set the guidelines, we offer the tool, but like we don't own comms in that way, because that's kind of not how Kubernetes works. Comms is from people to people, like not through a single mouth.
Yeah.
Is that resonating with people?
Yeah, actually makes a lot of sense.
this stuff makes me so happy. Like having a structured, like not overly structured, but a understanding of how things get from one mouth to another is really cool.
The other thing, this goes into the multi-channel comm thing, would be, again, sort of the same like deadlines, enhancements, code freeze, and all that, but also coming from the Twitter account.
Yeah. So that's an interesting question. How does, yeah, I think we don't have
I
to
think,
talk.
it'd be good to have a conversation with the release team folks, or SIG release.
Yeah. Slack, Twitter. No, so I just added a link to the notes. It says multi-channel comms. If anyone needs a reminder of what that is, we kind of have 4 classifications of action required, priority information, feedback appreciated, and in case you missed it, as like the don't worry about it too much. And intentionally broke it out into those different ways. And like the goal from kind of day one of this group has been to, can we make a meaningful connection between like these different categories of conversation and the different channels of communication that people need to hear in, acknowledging that like for many things people might need to hear it more than once, and they may not see it on their email, they may see it on Slack, they may not see it on Twitter, and a different set of people will see it in different channels. So it's not actually, we're adding value by consistently communicating across all channels, not reducing value. So I think maybe a little bit more drawing out how these dots are going to connect. Anyway, that clearly gets me more excited than everybody else. So I think I've got the action of kind of like trying to communicate the vision of how this connects into our multi-channel. Okay, so what are the other, you call them AIs, don't you, Bob? So like
Generally, no, like it. Honestly, I just learned it from what people call them here in Kubernetes.
Yeah, I think it was a vaguely Google-oriented thing, but just the action items. Yeah, I guess that's what it's short for. So what other action items are people thinking they see out of this?
So from a technical standpoint, it's easy to add new user groups. So it's easy to give access to other teams.
Yeah.
So in that case, once we give access, so we can ask them to create a GitHub issue or something when they need some feedback. So we can just go on from there.
That's fantastic. Okay, cool. I was curious about that. In another technical question, playing around with it, is it possible to have like a single select, like choose all channels kind of from the pick list? Or you've got to like click each one?
I'll
That might be.
I'll try to find that.
I'd be hesitant. Like, it's probably be a good option to have as a feature, but I'd be a little bit hesitant about doing that, considering like the amount of channels that we have with different subjects. Like, we have a lot of ones that are like for meetups or completely separate projects. Maybe one possible idea as a sort of feature request would be like have groups.
Yeah. I guess I mean like all SIGs, anything that starts with SIG. Because I just looked 394 channels, and that's insane. But also normal when you have like 50,000 or 100,000 people in one place.
One thing that we can potentially do if there is grouping capability added is when we make changes to sigs.yaml, we could update the generator to automatically add the list of the SIG to something. But that also would mean it's configured to have to be in K community, so I don't know about that. Sorry.
You should check if Slack supports the groups thing.
Yeah, I think the Slack support grouping multiple channels as a single Yeah. Technical question. Slack support grouping.
No. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, yeah, we definitely.
I think we can still try something like a regular expression, just to SIG star. Probably all SIGs can be chosen.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Try
Oh,
that.
that would be that would do it. That would absolutely do it. Okay. Julie, we'll check that out. You kind of have to have a plan together to reach out to other teams and
Yeah. The other big AI was talking to SIG release, essentially having a discussion, or SIG release / the release team.
and for those less familiar with the complexities of Kubernetes processes, like when we say talk to SIG release, it would be go into the SIG release channel, kind of give them an idea of what we're trying to do, and set up either a call or in like a shared doc to talk through the plan.
Yep. That they also have their biweekly meeting.
Hmm.
That could be a possible agenda item. It is Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So a bit early for anyone on the West Coast.
Yeah. Does anyone feel you don't have to know all the answers of what's going on here, but is anyone interested in participating in this group as more of a like kind of a marketing manager, like and wanting to reach out to SIG release, figure out how they communicate, tell them how we can help, or report back to us, and then we can work on that as a team?
So I'm not volunteering. I'm just
That's fine.
pass the information I have. So I was working with the working group naming. So their
cool.
intention is like to familiarize working group naming amongst the K8 contributors. So I proposed like we could use our K8 contributor tweets to push it out loud, and they also wanted to know like how to reach out to that, and that's the reason like we are like the one thing like we are pending with is like the process is for rest of the working group or rest of the SIGs to reach out to us to submit a tweet. And it would be like automatic or it would be manual, because as far as I know, I guess like even today like the shoutouts were sent out by Kaislin manually, if I'm not wrong. So that is one group I'm working with, as I am like part of that working group.
That's great.
But not exactly rest of the SIGs or SIG stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ones that play in our community. So no, it's smart to focus just for your own sanity. We don't have to get somebody to own this action item right this moment. I think it's kind of good for us to iterate it out, and we'll creep our way there.
Isn't that what Chris said that he was going to do? He said he applied to the release team as a shadow and wanted to help bridge our group with the release team directly and learn where, how, when we can help.
Yeah, you were absolutely right. That's literally what he wrote today, and is like 3 lines down from where I'm typing. So I think we can tell Chris to do something and see if it works.
I think that makes sense.
You call amazing delegation, and also I love the rule of if you're not on the call, you end up getting some action items. So that's a good. Yeah. It keeps attendance high.
The thing is, even if he's not selected for a shadow, it's still, we still need that point of engagement. So
totally, that's great.
Is it Is it worth creating an issue on having checkboxes against all the SIGs listed there, and probably we could reach a lazy consensus after like couple of weeks or like couple of months after that, to track, because if there is no issue, we would like definitely miss the list of SIGs that there are.
Sorry, I didn't follow why we need to list out all the SIGs. What were you thinking?
So that we can, like, if that should it wouldn't happen, but if Chris is not part of the release team, then we need like at least we can amongst ourselves like pick 5 or 4 different SIGs, and independently we can reach out to them and like we can collect the data and tell them what we are trying to do, and like get the sentiment from them, and then we can update in the issue and they say, okay, I have reached out to the SIG and this was the update from them, and we can pick it up from, like, we can take it from there as a group.
Cool. Yeah, I completely follow what you're saying. I'm kind of happy to start with like, my only resistance to it, I think it's a great overall idea, is like, I don't want to be on that issue. That sounds like really, really tedious. And I don't know if we as like a team know what we'd want to say yet. So there are enough steps ahead of that I feel like that's a little further ahead. Of like, what are we communicating and how? I think off the top of my head right now is like, we have some cool tools and we have a like kind of a philosophy on comms, but I don't think we all know it equally well. And we haven't come to a consensus on internally of how all the pieces fit together. And if we kind of keep doing what we're doing individually and get to a place where like those pieces fall together and we can all communicate them, then we go out and disseminate that information. That sounds fantastic. Yeah, I just feel like, yeah, we've got those steps ahead of us. I'm vaguely holding on to the, like, I'll be responsible for putting the pieces together. Rajul is deep on the technical. And I think each of us individually doing really anything valuable to this group is valuable in and of itself in the meantime. Like, I don't want us to feel like we have to take on too much more. Because it makes it less fun. And I kind of want this group to still be fun, because this is like hobby work for all of us relative to our day jobs. Is that fair? I didn't mean to go on.
I was just trying to, yeah, no. I was just trying to like plant this thought so that we could come to a consensus, and that's what we are doing, and this is fair. Yeah, definitely this should be fun. And yeah, introducing something like that would be like holding responsibility.
But you know what? There's no. You're totally right that is a goal. I guess. Yeah.
I think I have an idea on this. I think it comes back to marketing ourselves. So we can just set out. The marketing at the group, the marketing team to all the SIGs.
Yeah.
I think we can actually like maybe use the bot, post in multiple SIG channels, tell them that we are so and so, we have a bot. You want something? Just maybe it's too much. Yeah, but we can just give it a try for a couple of SIGs.
That's a great point, Rajula. That's exactly what we keep trying to remind ourselves of, is like to market ourselves. Maybe if we get some air coverage, like, you know, we'll if we can get the regexy type thing together, we run the message by Bob and maybe get like another sign off, like some consensus in contribx that this is kosher, and then we send like one blast message and we're like, we'll never do this again, but just know that we exist. That'd be pretty.
We should also keep tweeting a lot about ourselves, which we're not doing often.
Yeah.
The other thing that might be worthwhile is send messages directly to the SIG mailing list instead of just a KDev.
Oh yeah.
Because if some people are, sort of filtering out KDev, they usually will not filter out their SIG specific lists. Everyone's supposed to be subscribed to KDev and everyone's supposed to like listen to KDev, but the reality of the situation is that is not always the case.
Cool.
The other one would be to potentially just email the leads list, because most of the people that would likely be using it would at least have the action be facilitated by a lead.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of bot thinking. What? Anyone else have any thoughts on that before we kind of put it aside for a minute and kind of keep working? We'll keep working on the AI, so we already listed it out, but kind of move forward to the next part. Okie doke. Need tweet for APAC SIG contrib-X meetings.
I think we missed the contributor site item.
Oh shoot. Yeah, that got stuck in. I added that, so we'll just do that after. So see, somebody added the need tweet for APAC SIG meetings. What can we do to help there? Who added that in?
Yeah, I added it, I guess. I forgot
Awesome.
to put my name in there. Right. So we are having these bi-weekly meetings for APAC contrib-X group. And the trouble that we have is we are not seeing much traction, right? I mean, we have got a couple of people joining in, but it's always those 2-3 people that come over. And we had a call yesterday, and I was just wondering if there is a way we can amplify that. Of course, tweeting is one way. Could there be any other way that we can get more traction or more people to join in?
Absolutely, yeah. So, Piyush, I wonder, do you have access to, well, okay, whether you have access to merge it or not, I think it'd be great if the first thing that comes to mind is like submit tweets to this bot.
This might be a good opportunity to try out the manual scheduling process that we had discussed before.
Oh,
you
yeah.
could put in kind of a comment when you do the PR of like, this is when I'd like this to go out, and we can manually merge it in at that time, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah, because,
because timing would be important, right? This happens during APAC daytime, right? Yeah. So we need to make sure that it's around that time, so that when people see it, they can just come over and join it.
Yeah.
So I have a little update and really like quick demo on the POC that I have done for the tweet automation.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Do you think? Yeah. Let's go into it. Do you want? I'll.
Okay. Let me share my screen and.
Sure. You should have permission now.
Let me share the screen and. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Let me know if everyone can see my screen. So what I did is, as I said, as I was like trying to explain on the other day, having a new created. So we change the issue template and we can change everything however we would like to have. When I click on the issue, so I have a sample. I have created a template. So when I say like new issue, it's going to present me with the template.
And screen is up. Yes. There we go. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just taking a minute due to some lag.
Okay,
so,
sorry about that. I guess I'm not in the best internet of the world.
You're totally fine.
Stop my video then, I guess.
Okay. See, so, yeah, we're now seeing a new tweet request.
I'm in place where I would create an Right. So when I say like get started, it is the issue template basically. So I have given some comments, and I'm using this as like the limit for parsing. So technically, when I say something like this, the checker haven't implemented yet. This is just.
Lost him.
Yep.
Well, it looked really cool.
It did look cool.
Shoot.
Trying to figure out how we could maybe do that async.
Hello,
if
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you again. Maybe
you're a little bit of a robot though.
Yeah, I think your connection's a little too rough to share. So why don't we skip on the sharing? Maybe you can either record your desktop and send it, or send us a URL and we can go look at it ourselves as well. And you can talk us through it.
Sure. Yeah. So I've shared that URL already. I can share it again. So when you create a tweet content there, what I'm doing is like I'm parsing the content file and essentially merging it back into the same tweet folder like Rajula is expecting with a certain like function, certain configuration. Like you can say like .tweet or like however the extension you want and however the naming of the file you want. So let me share the URL.
Please, yeah, great.
Um, Oh, I don't see the comments or the discussion board in the Slack. Oh, sorry, in the Zoom. So I'll share. I'm just opening up the Slack now. So once you create that, I'm passing it and I'm actually pushing it into the repository again. So what we can do on the scheduling aspect is, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, you can add the link right into our doc, our organizing doc.
All right. Yeah, totally forgot about that. Sorry.
Yeah, you're totally fine.
So I'm gonna add it here.
Perfect. Thank you.
So what I was thinking about the scheduling process is like in GitHub issues, like we can actually we can run cron job kind of actions. So we can run 1 in 30 minutes to figure out like, is there any tweets that are supposed to go out in that 30 minutes window? And we can execute that tweet to put in the handle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I hear you. And so the cron job activity, what would it be doing? It would be opening a PR, it'd be merging the PR. Like, what's the action?
No, so it would be, so I haven't implemented that yet, but what I was thinking through is like the cron job would be scanning all the files with .tweet, and then it would look into the corresponding scheduled time. And then if the scheduled time is within that current 30 minutes window, it just send a tweet.
Oh, I see. Like they're already merged in, and then we basically have an external watcher of the previously merged tweets, and that way we get out of that workflow. That's pretty brilliant.
Right. So what the entire end-to-end workflow would be, a user would be coming in and they would be like kind of creating an issue. With the present POC, what I'm doing is like once the issue is created, I am merging it. But what we can do is like once we say like close or something like that from the person, some comments, we can merge with .tweet in the folder, and then with the corresponding like user-friendly specified by the creator of the issue, this particular cron job would run and like checks whether if that particular time zone is specified time is within the 30 minutes window, and then it will just send a tweet.
What do you? I mean, Rajula, you've lived in the bot space here. Like, what's your reaction to this?
Yeah, I think it really helps. Just the merge process. So once you verify and then it's merged, I think this is a better way to schedule tweets.
Sweet.
Okay, yeah, so what I'll do is like I'll do
just one quick question. When we are converting from an issue to a pull request, so we're going to have to use it, do it through a bot or a new GitHub account. So that GitHub account should have signed the CLA and everything for the Brow bot and everything to work. So we need to figure that out.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The bot will have to be added to like the Kubernetes SIG org, and then we have some other stuff when it comes to setting up ignores for bot accounts. The other thing that
currently what I was doing.
Sorry.
So currently what I was doing is I'm using the GitHub Actions and the secret from the GitHub Actions and merging it via GitHub Actions. So there is no bot involved in there.
Okay. We would still need it to be under an account that has a like signed CLA.
I see.
Or
Wait,
at least associated. This is mostly just for. Actually, I need to think about that. I think we could probably get around it.
Could we take a like we're getting towards the top of the meeting, so I just want to throw out there, could we maybe, Karthikeyan, could you write out how this works a bit in the README? That way we can take a little bit more time to think about the workflow of it, and what steps it might need, like what credentials it needs, whether it's responding to the merge request action or just the file existing. Because I'm getting a little lost in it, and then like we can all asynchronously think about how it could work into the flow. But it's absolutely an awesome extension to what we're planning to do. So thank you so much, and very impressive.
Sure. So I'll update the README and I'll possibly try to record a screen and put it in the Slack or something.
Oh, great call. Yeah, if you could, throw it on YouTube or whatever, and we'll be able to walk through there. But yeah, I just there's a lot of nuance going on, and it's really thoughtful, and I don't want us to lose it by like rushing towards the end of the meeting.
Makes sense.
Cool. All right, we'll keep going there. Contributor site, I have a very short, like, how's it going in your opinion? How can we be more helpful with it?
Honestly, I have not been keeping track on it too much since actually launching it, just because I've been busy myself. We have the blog there, so if we want to have any contributor-focused blogs, so things like tips and tricks for contributors, like that would be a very good resource just to sort of keep the content like flowing there. There is currently one open PR to the blog with a story of how our contractors that have been working on improving the developer guide, sort of how they got involved with contributing. Once we sort of have an idea of all the services the marketing team wants to offer, one of the AIs or like open issues I have is like essentially putting together a list of all the services that we sort of collectively offer, not just marketing, but like here's how you request a repo, here's how you request a Netlify site. So we could also add into that, here's how you request a tweet, or here's how you request comms, just that way it's all in that one sort of central location. Our documentation, is scattered across like n number of repos and n number of other things that aren't like indexed well, and that was one of the reasons why we created the contributor site, was to bring that all together into one place. Even if it's just like linking out just like brief little description of what it is, and then plus a link to where it lives in GitHub to find out more.
Cool. Okay, so I'm hearing that it is going to be its own editorial. Like you are going to keep the blog on there, and the blog intention is like Kubernetes.io will be Kubernetes userland, Kubernetes.dev will be Kubernetes contributor land. Which,
yes.
So we may be pivoting our attention, and this might be the most natural kind of separation from the docs overlap that we have so frequently. Because like Docs definitely owns the main site, and this new site, they may be involved, but we could be more responsible for the content going out of that.
For
Does that make sense?
specific, yeah. Specifically for some of the stories that we want to tell regarding SIGs, that might still be worth posting on the main contributor website, just because that has much broader reach. And if the goal is to get more contributors there, or like new people interested in it, that would probably be a better target. But if it like, I think for people that are already sort of engaged or looking to get engaged, that they'll be checking the contributor site more. Does that sort of make sense?
Potentially, yeah. Like one of the, I'm hearing you that like we still have a main distribution channel and that's not going to change. Like Kubernetes.io is the main distribution channel. So we could talk about differentiating Kate's dev by maybe it's more kind of playful content like how to set up your IDE for Kubernetes contribution, like favorite tool for Kubernetes contribution, like make it more practical.
I watched a really good demo the other day of using, GitHub Hub, the CLI tool, for, just quickly doing workflow stuff without having to go through the UI, and making that work with sort of the Kubernetes workflow. So even even things like that, that's I see like would be much better served on the contributor site. Stuff that like helps contributors become better at contributing.
That was my hope. Yeah, Rajula, what are you going to say?
Yeah, so from what I've seen in the cup, the things with the bot, I think things like how to get into a Slack user group, things like how to get a bot reviewed, the whole process, things like only Bob, someone like them knows everything. So I think we should list that out on the Cave tab. It's not easy. It's a lot of complex things involved, a lot of people involved. I think that things like that is a very good place for KDev.
I'm super into it. Yes, absolutely. So who's kind of on point for that site? Is there someone on point? Oh, it is still you. Okay.
Yeah. If you look at like the commit history, it's pretty much just like all me and a couple of random other people.
All right, cool. Well, because I'm thinking like we get that into the README, right? Like, hey, here's what there's a blog here and it's different from this blog. Here's what we recommend.
And a tweet about it too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we probably we got agreement from you. We should talk to the docs team a little bit, just give a heads up like, hey, we're thinking of differentiating this blog. Does that make sense to you as well?
So just as a general heads up, there is a specific blog sub-team, like the sub-project. I am also on that team.
Okay.
But there is it's a Slack channel SIG blog. Essentially, all responsibilities of the blog itself have been delegated to that group.
Yep. Cool.
Also, if anyone wants to jump in more as like editorial reviewers and things like that, it's that team is lacking. It needs help.
Yeah, it's kind of what I showed up for. And I think a few of us would too. Anyway, that sounds like a good place to pick up next week. I want to leave some people some time between hours per our usual goal. So Karthikeyan, congrats again on getting a working demo. It's awesome. I'm sorry our internet is being rude to you, but looking forward to watching your video and reading the docs. Rajula, huge congrats on getting that merged, and we will figure out how to find the right audience for it. So awesome. And I hope everyone has a good rest of the start of their weekend or end of their Friday, depending on what's going on. Thank you all. Piyush, also, like, I don't know if we answered your question nearly enough. If we can continue in the Slack chat and kind of help you get the word out more effectively, we don't have to wait till next Friday to do so. We want to be helpful now. So.
Yeah, I mean, so the call is bi-weekly, right? So the call will happen next week. We had the one yesterday, so we still have 2 weeks time.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's keep plotting.
Yeah.
Can we just quickly go through the last week async things? I think Bob and Paris have something.
Sure. What are you thinking?
No, I think in the last week we just have a couple of things we missed.
Oh, okay. Good call. Yeah, that we did the asynchronous updates because we canceled.
Yeah. So it's probably going to be happening next week, but we're making a huge change to contributor workflow, at least in KK. And that we're adding like a new label, needs triage. So one good example of a blog post might be an overview of how to use it, or essentially effective issue triage. In sort of in addition to our documentation and all that. The other big thing will be, eventually the steering election stuff. They have their schedule is posted in the events, like K community events. But that we'll probably want to stay on top of.
Cool. And and the last thing from Paris is Slack reporter requests. I thought we sent a tweet or two out about that, but we could probably use some more. Do you see that link at the bottom?
Yeah,
Oh, I definitely sent a tweet out through our tooling, but I don't know if I kind of dropped the ball in reporting back.
I thought you said it was a good experience. I remember you saying that about doing one. Going through the PR process for the Slack bot or the Twitter bot.
Yeah, exactly. And so, Kazan, would you mind? I'll comment on this, and if you could maybe schedule a few more tweets manually, that would be good, just so we can report back that we hit people up for the last few weeks. All right, folks. Good deal. I think that kind of got through that. Rajula, anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I think we're good.
Cool. Ton going on. All right, we'll come back to it next week and keep going with the flow. Thanks all. Have a good rest of your day.